Hello beautiful people, welcome to today's practice. Starting in the lying position, knees bent, soles of the feet connected to the mat. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. As we take some deep breaths in, filling the belly with air, the chest, the upper body, and then exhaling, emptying the stomach. Letting it all out. Taking another big deep breath in, filling the tummy, the chest, feeling the rib cage expand, and then exhaling all the air. Tucking the left knee in towards the chest, right leg is long, and then alternating right knee to chest, left leg long. Just inhale and exhale to each movement as we just start to create a little bit of heat in the body. Bringing both knees in together. Taking the left leg long, bending the right knee up and over. And we're just going to alternate side to side here. Arms are out to the side. We're getting a nice twist through the lower body. Bending both legs up and then taking the left leg, grasping the hands behind the thigh. Now the right leg, pulling it towards the chest, getting a stretch through the hamstring, maybe flexing the foot towards the head. Just alternating legs in your own time. If you can get your legs straight, awesome. I'm just going through some pelvic tilts here, tilting the pelvis up towards the head and then taking the chest high, creating this space underneath the lower back. Tilting the pelvis again and then flowing through, taking the chest and heart towards the sky. Lifting our hips high now, squeezing the glutes into bridge pose. Pushing through the feet, up onto the shoulders, the arms are gently resting by our side. And then taking the left leg long, coming into a one-legged bridge. Squeezing the bottom underneath. Lowering down, changing sides, right leg goes long. Lifting up. Pushing through that left leg. Trying to get as much elevation as you can. And taking the left leg long, right knee, bending it up and over, and then with the left hand, just gently taking the right knee towards the earth. Taking your gaze in the opposite direction before coming back to center. And changing over, right leg long, left leg is bent up and over. Right hand is gently pushing the left knee towards the earth. And our gaze is in the opposite direction. And coming back to center, hugging both knees towards the chest. And then rolling up to a seated position, legs are crossed, straight back, shoulders are away from the ears. Maybe doing a little bit of a back bend here, so dropping the head backwards, hands are on the mat behind us. And then flipping the hands the other way so they're facing our bottom, doing a back bend, and then coming into a couple of tricep dips here. So untucking the legs, pushing up through the hands. You can do 5 of these in the seated position, or you can lift the buttocks off the mat to make it a little bit more challenging and add in a little bit more resistance. Coming onto our right knee now, left leg goes long, the left arm comes up and over the head, grabbing the left foot, taking the knee towards the back of the body. And then releasing and taking the leg long, coming back down to the mat. Switch over to the other side. So right leg goes long, right arm comes up and over the head. And then grabbing the right ankle or the right foot, pulling the heel towards the bottom, getting a beautiful stretch down the front of the thigh. And then gently releasing, taking the leg long. And then coming back down. Tucking the toes, coming into our first downward facing dog. Maybe pedaling out the feet, if that feels good. Maybe nodding the head, taking it side to side. And coming into dolphin pose, so coming down onto the forearms. Hips are high, legs are straight. Taking the left foot between the hands, raising our arms up into warrior one. Into warrior two. Arms are parallel with the mat, back leg is straight. And then coming into reverse warrior, flipping the front palm up and over. The right arm is traveling down the right leg at the back. And then left elbow comes to left knee, taking the right arm up and overhead. Back into warrior two. And then windmilling the arms down to frame the front foot. And then kicking that foot back to meet the other one. And change sides, so right foot will come between the hands. Raising the arms high on the inhale to warrior one. Maybe taking your gaze up past your fingers into warrior two. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Engaging the core. Flipping the front palm into reverse warrior. Right elbow goes on the right knee. Left arm goes up and overhead. On the exhale, back into warrior two. And then windmilling the hands, kicking the foot back into downward facing dog. Coming into high plank. One-legged high plank, so raising the right leg first. Raising the left leg. And drop into our knees. Taking the right leg up and over the left, keeping the upper half of the body square onto the mat. Bringing that knee to meet the other, taking the left leg long now, taking it up and over the right. Keeping the shoulders square to the mat. Then bringing both knees back together. Walking them out to the edge of the mat and coming into our child's pose. Arms are long. And just taking a couple of rounds of breath here. Tucking the toes as we come out of child's pose into downward facing dog. Taking our left leg between our hands. Up into warrior one. We're doing a slight back bend. If that feels good. Warrior two. Reverse warrior. And then left elbow to left knee, taking our right arm overhead. Back into warrior two. Windmilling the hands, kicking the left foot back to meet the right. Changing sides. Right foot comes between the hands. Arms are raised high above our head. Maybe a slight back bend. Going into a warrior two. Reverse warrior. Right elbow to right knee. Left arm comes up overhead. Warrior two. And then windmilling the hands back into downward facing dog. Taking our forearms to the mat, taking the hips high, keeping the legs straight, pushing the heels towards the mat. Taking a couple of rounds of breath here. Dropping to our knees, to neutral spine, untucking the toes. Taking the right leg up and over the left. Taking the left leg long, taking it up and over the right. Bringing the knees back together. And taking them wide. And then sinking our chest towards the mat as we come into child's pose. Sitting our hips on our heels, arms are long. Breathing deeply. And then slowly rolling out into downward facing dog. Walking the feet to the top of the mat now. Taking a big deep breath in as you come to standing position. Hands at heart center. I'm just going to move to the middle of my mat, but you can stay at the top of yours. We're going to come into eagle pose. So the right leg wraps up and over and around the left. The right arm wraps under and around the left arm. And then see if you can sink a little bit deeper. Sitting down a little bit further. And then raising the elbows higher to get a deeper stretch through the shoulders. Engaging the core. Arms out to the side. We're going to kick that right leg back into airplane pose. Getting the body parallel to the ground. And then bringing that knee high before planting the foot back down next to the other one. This time we're grounding down through the right foot, left leg wraps up and over, left arm wraps under and around the right, sinking down into eagle pose, raising the elbows a little bit higher. And then kicking the left leg back, arms go out to the side, getting the body parallel with the ground, and then bringing that knee forward and then grounding down. Breathing in, hands to heart center as we forward fold. Halfway lift, forward fold. Coming back into downward facing dog. Drop into our knees down. And bring the left foot between the hands into this low lunge. Keep the hands on the ground, or you can bring them to your knees. And then just grabbing the right foot with our right hand. Just getting a stretch through our hip flexors and our thigh as we bring that foot towards the bottom. Gently releasing. Bringing our arms up above our head as we sink a little bit deeper towards the mat. And then stretching out the left leg, coming back to sit on the heel of our right foot. Coming forward into lunge. And back to stretch out the left leg. One more time. And then kicking back the left leg to meet the right. Downward facing dog, dropping to our knees. Right leg comes between the hands. Sinking the pelvis towards the floor. Coming up onto your knees if that feels better. Taking the arms high above the head. And then grabbing the left foot with the left hand and pulling the foot towards the bottom. Should feel a nice stretch along the front of the leg. Gently releasing, arms high, hands to earth, kicking the right leg back to meet the left. And then coming into a seated position before slowly rolling down onto our back. Just letting the knees come towards the face as we come into happy baby, interlocking the fingers around the big toes. Knees are dropping heavy to the sides. And we're maintaining contact with the mat and our back in this pose. You can rock side to side if you want, or you can just find some stillness. And then slowly releasing the toes, feet come back to earth. Just letting the knees fall in to each other. Letting them rest here for a moment. And then taking the legs long. Palms face down today. Feet dropping heavy to the side. And coming into lying pose. As we take a couple of deep breaths before closing down the mind. Just bringing some awareness back into the body now. Making a few wriggling movements, maybe stretching out the hands, the fingers, the wrists. When you're ready, roll into one side. And then pushing yourself up to seated position. Just taking a moment to relax here. And taking a deep breath in, bringing our hands to heart center at our third eye. May we have kind and loving thoughts today. Lowering them to our lips, may we speak kind and loving words today. As we bring them to our heart space, may we have kind and loving intentions today. Namaste.